Now, we've been updating you with the aftermath of the flooding in Scotland and also in Nottinghamshire. The Met Office now saying there is more heavy rain on the way. They've issued more yellow weather warnings. At least 4 people, of course, have lost their lives so far in the aftermath of Storm Babet, and hundreds more still homeless after vast areas of the UK were submerged. River levels remaining dangerously high in many areas. Let's get more now with weather forecaster John Kettley, who can join us. John, thanks very much indeed for your time this afternoon. I guess we can follow the track of the rain. The problem then is what happens once it falls, given that much of the ground is saturated and is going to just run off into the rivers.
Yeah, this is the problem, Mark, isn't it? We're not in a good place at the moment because this is not the time of the year when you'd expect things to dry out anyway. Everything is now waterlogged or saturated. The rivers are very, very high indeed. And every day you look on the charts and there's more rain developing as well. So it's not always going to be the wettest in the same areas, but nonetheless, everybody's had a fair packet of rain in the past week or so, and there's more to come for all of us. So it isn't a time when we can actually dry out very quickly. Very slow seepage into the ground. But of course, you've got to remember too that some of these river catchment areas are still getting the water in from the mountains of Wales, for example, and coming down from the Pennines. So the water is still actually rising rather than falling at the moment.
Yeah, and therefore difficult for the Environment Agency to gauge how quickly it rises. And in terms of the rainfall as well, looking at what happened in Scotland particularly, are we seeing very concentrated areas of rainfall and for quite a sustained period?
Well, I think this is what happened the other day. There was a case of taking your eye off the ball to some degree. I know to begin with, middle of the week, we did see that heavy rain moving into Scotland from Ireland, but it was also torrential rainfall for many, many hours across in East Anglia, through the East Midlands and into the Pennine area, northern England, and back into southeast Scotland. So some of these areas saw that rain band hardly moving at all for the best part of 2 days. And I can vouch for that myself. I was right in the middle of it. And some very high river levels, the Trent, for example, at the moment, coming into Nottinghamshire and Lincolnshire. So, it is a difficult situation at the moment. And as I say, there's more rain to come. I've got rain bands showing up even now. There's a very slow-moving band of rain crossing Ireland now. Right. Barely moving, actually, but it's just moving into Cornwall. And that will develop and intensify as it moves further east tomorrow.
And of course, the first culprit was Storm Babet, and we were told they could see it coming in from the Canary Islands. Is the other feature is that they've been quite slow-moving, these storms coming in, so they pick up intensity and ferocity as they come in. Yeah,
well, Babet actually came and went like a dose of salts, really. It came and went in about 36 hours. It's just enhanced by further developments down over Spain and Portugal, where it's been very hot, actually, for the past few weeks. So there was an awful lot of energy. The dynamics were such that the jet stream was diverting down into the Bay of Biscay, picking up more energy and actually bringing more intense rainfall behind Babet, with areas of low pressure developing across southern Britain. And then they became stationary, pivoting around the same area, which we've talked about already. So that was a very complex situation through last week and into the weekend. Now it's perhaps becoming a little bit more simplified. We are seeing different bands of rain arriving. One I've just mentioned coming into the southwest. There's another one now approaching the southeast of England too, and that's going to be pushing up into eastern England through tonight and into eastern Scotland tomorrow. And that's the one also which is going to enhance the rainfall, particularly across Lincolnshire and into the northeast Midlands and northern England.
Right. Now, we had this sort of assessment about these once-in-a-lifetime and once-in-a-100-years events that the Environment Agency sort of based its planning on, and flood defences and so on. Are we going to have to start rethinking because of these various events now?
Well, I was listening to you talking to Liam earlier on. He said he was 54 now. Well, it's not too bad being 55, I can tell you. But the thing about being 55 or more is that you've seen all these events in the past. We've seen it come and go before. Now, I'm not belittling what's happening at the moment. It is a very serious situation. But back in 2000, we did have the wettest autumn on record. I'm talking about going back to 1727. So the autumn of 2000 was extremely wet, far wetter than we've got at the moment.
Right.
But who knows? In the end, in another few weeks, it could get worse.